Guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video. Today we are doing a video that I think a lot of people are going to love, and we're going to be covering or breaking down LA Knight's run on the main roster so far, from maximum male models to the most over superstar in the company besides Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Now, LA Knight, as you guys may know, LA Knight wasn't always like this on the main roster. The dude had to go through a grind. The dude joined the main roster in the back end of the Vince era, and it wasn't all sunshines and rainbows. LA Knight was Max Dupree at one point and was with maximum male models around with Maxine Dupree, who's actually LA Knight's sister, kayfabe sister. But obviously this gimmick was a Vince McMahon idea. Don't even begin to tell me it's a Triple H idea. And as you heard in interviews, LA Knight, aka LA Knight, was not happy about this gimmick. And obviously, Maxine Dupree and Max Dupree in Maximum Male Models felt wrong. You know, the LA Knight that I watched at NXT, and now to see him on the main roster like this, I was pretty much dumbfounded. You know, I'm not surprised because Vince is a moron. But this whole gimmick, I wasn't really supporting at all. I was only there to see what kind of good mic work LA Knight was going to do. That's the only reason why I cared about this gimmick. And that's no disrespect to Mace and Marseille, who is actually doing a great job with the gimmick themselves, since the gimmick sort of hasn't been seen on TV a lot. But, you know, WWE really tried to push this gimmick. They really tried to push it over. And they were doing it for a while. They were really doing it for a while. And at first, you maybe thought something was going to happen, but trust me, all they did was promote maximum male models. They even started a website where you could become a maximum male model too. And yeah, it was pretty much a full-blown thing. WWE really wanted to get this out of the water, and it never really did. You know, even though WWE were shoving promos every week of this, the fans just wanted LA Knight back, because, you know, all the people that have watched NXT 2.0, everyone knew that LA Knight was one of the biggest stars of that, and they just don't want. And this was just complete job. This is like the most jobber gimmick ever. Again, no disrespect to Mansoor and Mace, but this is the definition of a gimmick, of a jobber gimmick 101. If I ever had to see one. And obviously, I guess the best part of this was the meme. If you guys don't know, LA Knight, aka Max Dupree, saying yes, or going up to Adam Pearce every single week and demanding something about getting the eyes on maximum male models, something about the product. I guess, once again, of course, Max Dupree was the best part about this. He's just a great talker, and the Adam Pearce segments were legit hilarious. But like I said, the gimmick was just not sticking. A month became 2 months and all that, and I just wasn't sticking with it. I just couldn't fall into the Vince McMahon thing, and there was a lot of worry here, because if WWE were ever to do releases, a bunch of these guys were going to get released, and we didn't want to see a guy like LA Knight get released because Vince McMahon has a bad gimmick for him, and, you know, he's on to another company where he will shine. And it was very rough. You know, obviously the promos as Max Dupree were great, because but, you know, he was kind of speaking like way different. Like, it's almost like this guy was a promotional bulletin board rather than the LA Knight we saw in NXT, where he roasted the hell out of everybody. The maximum male model ones was just basically Max Dupree looking like a live talking ad promotion. And like I said, the memes of Max Dupree and Adam Pearce was probably the best thing to come out of this. And even though, you know, maximum male models, it did get them a lot of attention. I do give it that, because a lot of people were just following LA Knight in general. This was easily the most time that maximum male models have had on TV. They were a staple every week. And then we had the Triple H era start, and we had Vince out of the chair, and we had the man that booked LA Knight the right way in NXT, Triple H, or his buddy Shawn Michaels. And yeah, it didn't take long for LA Knight to get away from Maximum Male Models and drown that gimmick down the toilet and drown Mansoor and Mace down the toilet. It all started with, there were random attacks. Mace and Mansoor wanted to know who it was, and Max Dupree was mad, saying he doesn't want to be with them. Basically, LA Knight was slowly coming back, and Cinema was slowly starting to form. And at this point, when we saw this promo right here, we knew what was happening. We knew that Triple H was putting on that hero's cape and was coming to save us from Max Dupree being sent to the Shadow Realm because of Vince McMahon. And then we got this. Max Dupree attacked both Maximum Male Models, not even hiding it, and he became LA Knight again. Who I am. LA Knight, yeah. And just like that, LA Knight was back. No more Max Dupree. No more wearing the stupid glasses. No more holding the Maximum Male Models mic. And no more looking like a live walking ad promotion. We got Smash Mouth, old style mic talking LA Knight back. And his first match was a more realistic one. LA Knight versus Mansoor. And obviously, LA Knight beat the shit out of Mansoor, just like we were hoping. I mean, Triple H just absolutely put an exclamation point on LA Knight leaving the Maximum Male Models gimmick. He beat Mansoor's ass. And at the beginning, no one was really following along with LA Knight. They weren't chanting, yeah. They were kind of like, okay, let's see where this goes. We didn't watch NXT. So, let's see how this guy does. He went from promoting a modeling agency to this. Let's see how it goes. And it didn't take long for the fans to actually love this gimmick. And it didn't take long. Obviously, if you guys know, the IWC was a very good place to be when LA Knight was pushed over. Everyone was hyped. And then we finally got LA Knight's first major rivalry, Bray Wyatt. And this was very good for both men. LA Knight getting Bray Wyatt in his first major rivalry on the main roster is awesome. And when this started, I was freaking out. I mean, these are two guys I really love. And of course, at the time, nobody could stop talking about Bray Wyatt. And then we insert LA Knight in there. And I think this whole plan was to get eyes on LA Knight. Bray Wyatt, everyone is obsessed with him at this point. So if we can get LA Knight in there, maybe we got people talking about him. And Triple H's game plan worked, and then some. The fans were stuck to LA Knight and Bray Wyatt's build like glue. LA Knight slapping Bray twice was great. And this was by far, since Bray Wyatt came back to the main roster, the best rivalry. And nothing else is even close. And this rivalry ended up being so well booked up to the Royal Rumble until we found out it was a pitch black match. But I was willing to give it a chance because these two guys are my guys. But, yeah, the build to this was awesome. And this match had so much anticipation at the Royal Rumble. We got a Undertaker and Bray Wyatt thing at Raw. At the 25th anniversary of Raw. It was just, LA Knight and Bray Wyatt were steamrolling. They were the big talk of the town besides Roman Reigns' Bloodline story. So now we got the pitch black match at the Royal Rumble. So how did it go? Was it a good match? Was it a steaming pile of shit? Will this match succeed so we can see more pitch black matches? It was not that good. I mean, it was good to look at. It looked like we were in a kid's arcade, but it looked nothing more. Obviously, Bray Wyatt dominated half the time. LA Knight got about 5 seconds of offense, and Bray Wyatt won. So, we went from thinking that LA Knight could mount a serious upset chance to Bray Wyatt to, this guy got crushed. But we had hope. And that hope turned down when LA Knight went on a major losing streak. Obviously, we know now that this was on purpose, but, as soon as the New Day rivaled with LA Knight, the New Day and I swear to God, the New Day and LA Knight feud for a month, and Xavier Woods had a vendetta. Xavier Woods and LA Knight had a storyline over arguing about video games that turned into matches. Xavier Woods rolled up LA Knight once, which is obviously a very frustrating finish for us LA Knight enthusiasts. And then one loss turned into 2 losses. LA Knight lost the number 1 contenders match because the second time Xavier Woods won, Xavier Woods got an opportunity to face Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship, and we all know how that went. So the road to WrestleMania for LA Knight was very bad. But obviously, there was LA Knight. We finally got the yeah chance. The fans were coming around on LA Knight. Even though he was losing, the fans loved him. His gimmick was sticking with the WWE Universe. So surely he had room on a WrestleMania Hollywood card. A perfect chance to put a perfect talker like LA Knight, a guy that could hook the crowd. Surely you want him on a WrestleMania in Hollywood, right? And there were rumors of Stone Cold getting involved. You know, we could do a KO and Stone Cold thing, but this time in LA Knight. You know, we were so excited. We knew that there was a lot of rumors going in WrestleMania, and one of the biggest ones was LA Knight and Stone Cold. I mean, that was gonna shatter the internet, and we didn't get any of that. LA Knight was name dropped when he lost to Bobby Lashley in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale. You know, a thing that I feel good for Bobby Lashley. Wouldn't have been a perfect thing for LA Knight to win, but you know, whatever. And then this guy doesn't even get on a 2-night WrestleMania. Doesn't even get a word in. Yeah, pretty rough. But after that, fans were very much pissed about LA Knight. At this point, the fans were raging, and at this point, fans were wondering what the hell Triple H's game plan was. People wanted answers. So LA Knight faced Butch, still on a big losing streak. Is Butch gonna win again? No, LA Knight actually wins clean, and all of a sudden, we're like, push him, don't have him win one match, and then go scurry somewhere else. Have him go on a winning streak. And as this is going on, the fans LA Knight's popularity goes up and up. And like I said, guys, as this whole story goes on, LA Knight's popularity is shooting out of a cannon right now. And, obviously, you know, LA Knight faced some jobber opponents like Rick Boogs. He finally beat Xavier Woods at one point, and LA Knight was starting to pick up some wins, even though Rick Boogs was one of them. But you know, a win's a win in LA Knight territory, better than Max Dupree. So Money in the Bank was coming up, and obviously the agenda was there. LA Knight, you know, the way he's being booked right now, he's a perfect candidate to ascend. Have him win Money in the Bank. And then we shit our pants when we saw that he was facing Montez Ford in the qualifying match. 2 men that we thought were in Money in the Bank. Well, one of these guys wasn't going to qualify, and instead of thinking that LA Knight was going to cruise in, we were all shitting our pants in nervousness. And the Montez Ford and LA Knight match was probably the most anticipated Money in the Bank qualifying match, and by far the best. Both of these men, it was by far LA Knight's best match on the main roster. Both of these guys were going back and forth. And LA Knight stole the win. He beat Montez Ford. We don't have to shit our pants anymore. LA Knight was headed to Money in the Bank. We were going to get that loud London pop. And as soon as LA Knight won, this really just sent it over the limits. And also, Montez Ford was getting booed. Like, the Street Profits were straight up getting booed throughout all this. And the crowd was just on LA Knight's side. It wasn't even a matter of, you know, LA Knight, his gimmick is so strong. The fans just don't like the Street Profits more than LA Knight. And, you know, this gimmick right here really just tells the whole story. The fans were not hooked with the Street Profits on commentary. They weren't booing him. The crowd were cheering LA Knight, roasting by far one of the biggest babyface tag teams. And this continued. LA Knight was rolling in the Money in the Bank promos. He was winning matches. It felt good. It felt good to be on the LA Knight party bandwagon. And yes, the LA Knight bandwagon was in full string. Everyone was hopping on, and it was time to unleash LA Knight. It is time to push him, have him win at Money in the Bank, and finally give this man what he deserves. And also, before we get into the next thing, LA Knight also had a match on Monday Night Raw versus Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes obviously won, but shout out to Cody Rhodes and LA Knight. It was a forgotten match, but it was a great match. People kind of forget that Cody Rhodes has already faced LA Knight on the main roster already. But next up, LA Knight we were closing in on Money in the Bank. Potentially the biggest night, or should be, the best night in LA Knight's career. And all of the Money in the Bank superstars were gonna try to promo each other. And as soon as Shinsuke was about to deliver a promo, Logan Paul announced he was just gonna walk into the Money in the Bank ladder match. Fans didn't like this. And all the superstars wanted to let Logan Paul know about it. And before Shinsuke can get out a word, LA Knight was not wasting any time. This man came down to the ring and said the following: Logan Paul makes videos for 14-year-old kids, wants to call himself a megastar. And basically he told you can shove each one of those bottles of Prime up your ass. I mean, LA Knight destroyed Logan Paul in a matter of 10 seconds. I mean, the crowd pop from that Monday Night Raw, it was still the strongest besides London, but we knew that London was going to be the biggest anyways. This was the ultimate LA Knight experience. No matter how big a stars was there, LA Knight was going to get the biggest pop. LA Knight was going to be the biggest man there. And my God, that Monday Night Raw where LA Knight roasted Logan Paul, it was glorious. We were soaking it in. It was awesome. And obviously, this started the rumors of, if LA Knight doesn't win Money in the Bank or he wins Money in the Bank, LA Knight and Logan Paul would be a perfect rivalry. But as we know, that isn't the case. And then we got SmackDown in London, Grayson Waller effect, Logan Paul, and of course, LA Knight had to do it to him one more time. He roasted Logan Paul again. And London was losing its mind. It felt like LA Knight was the biggest celebrity in London, and he just walked into the O2 Arena. This man was getting cheered like crazy, and all Logan Paul could do is just sit there. He could say anything he wants. The crowd wasn't gonna listen to it. No one was gonna care. Everyone was gonna care what came out of LA Knight's mouth at the end of the day, and for a second time in a week, LA Knight roasted Logan Paul. So now we've got Money in the Bank, the bright lights of London, everybody in England wanting LA Knight to win Money in the Bank, and that's not an exaggeration. The entire city of London wanted to win, and even England, everyone wanted LA Knight to win. So, were we going to see it? Were we going to see LA Knight win Money in the Bank? Were we going to see potentially one of the greatest Money in the Bank winners of all time? And obviously the match started off. It was great. It was an awesome Money in the Bank ladder match. People cheering LA Knight every time he got a ladder, every time he hit somebody, every time he delivered a move to the ladder. It was nuts. It was so electric. Just take me back to that day. And will LA Knight win? Damian Priest ended up winning the Money in the Bank ladder match. And just like that, our LA Knight Money in the Bank agenda was wiped to ashes. At least Io Sky ended up winning Money in the Bank that same night. But obviously, the LA Knight, the Yeah movement, shout out to him on Twitter. He's an awesome guy. But LA Knight lost Money in the Bank, and the rage started, and it was pouring out. And I don't agree with it. I still thought Damian Priest was a good winner, but my God, the fans were very sad. Some of the fans were just not willing to accept that LA Knight lost Money in the Bank, and it took a while to sit there thinking, damn, LA Knight actually didn't win Money in the Bank. But, let's move on to now. Who is LA Knight going to face off? More importantly, is LA Knight going to be featured in SummerSlam, which will take place at Ford Field, home of the Detroit Lions Stadium? Well, BWE, who is a great insider, has said that LA Knight will have a thing at SummerSlam. And if I had to think of a perfect move for LA Knight at SummerSlam, it's dethroning Austin Theory. It's time to dethrone the worst champion in WWE right now. And that's not Austin Theory's fault. Dethrone the worst champion and put it on one of the most over superstars. Give LA Knight that long reign with the U.S. champion along with the epic cheers. Just a perfect combination. LA Knight needs that bling on him. And now, fast forwarding to now, right in this present day, LA Knight is one of the most over baby faces. Every time anybody posts him to social media, it's easy. Everyone reacts to it. Everyone loves it. And this just proves that no matter how much LA Knight we get, it's never enough. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how LA Knight went from being a jobber on the main roster to being one of the most over people in under 12 months. It's truly a sight to behold, but my goodness, the road was hard, and in the end we got a great conclusion. And obviously the conclusion isn't over yet, but I've got confidence it will. Thank you for joining me. If you made it through the whole video, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one.